Hi, everybody. Welcome to our newest episode of Taking the High Road. Today, we're going to be talking about a very important topic.
Very important.
Very, very important. Even though technically it's the third item in line of importance for human survival, it is in many cases the most important for us to actually think about. So, first one is air.
Right.
Second one is
water.
Third one is food. And in many cases, in some ways, food is probably the most important thing we need. So today, in this episode, we're going to be talking about food. We're going to be talking about our refrigerator fiasco.
Okay.
We're going to be talking about, what are we going to talk about? We're going to be talking about storage, food storage, and I'm going to take you
preparation.
Yep, I'm going to take you on a little tour, including what we keep in the bathroom. Yes, food in the bathroom. And you're going to come along with me as I prepare, because this week we are actually having our first guests.
Yeah.
No, they're not sleeping in our caravan, because our caravan actually only sleeps 2 adults, and then this dinette here kind of folds open.
Technically.
We could sleep 2 children or 1 adult, but this is a couple that's coming with us. Anyway, so I'm going to actually be cooking my first Shabbat meal in the caravan, like a real full-fledged meal, and I'm going to take you along with me so you can see how that looks in the tiny space that we have. So come along and let's get started. Hi, I'm Penina.
And I'm Pinchas.
And welcome to Taking the High Road. We're a couple of empty nesters living full-time in our towable caravan here in beautiful Israel. With the high cost of housing and a love for adventure, we decided to trade square footage for freedom.
We both work remotely, so why not hit the road and explore the country we call home, one stop at a time?
In this channel, we'll be sharing what caravan life is really like in Israel, from scenic views and hidden gems to the practical side of living on wheels.
Whether you're dreaming about RV life, curious about Israel, or just want to join us on the ride,
we're glad you're here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you can follow along as we take the high road. There's gotta be a better way to lighten the load and seize the day. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about food. Now, you may have noticed last time we were outside, we taped outside, and today, do they actually call it taping anymore? We recorded? We videoed? I don't even know. I guess I'm dating myself, right? I'd rather date you. So we're going to be talking about food. I was going to say, I think I have to cut that out. Either that or it'll be a blooper at the end. But anyway. So you may have noticed that we changed venues. Last week we taped. Oh yeah.
Recorded.
I already said this. Outside. And today we decided to do it inside. It's warm outside. It's actually not too bad, but it's really, really windy. And we also wanted to give you a chance to have a different view. So we're actually sitting in the dinette area, and you'll see that when we do the actual tour. Which is at the front of the caravan. And this is actually where Pinchas and I work during the day. So we sit on this seating area pretty much all day,
all week.
10 hours a day, 5 days a week anyway. When it's not super bright and sunny outside, we really enjoy having everything open. You can see everything's closed here so that you could actually see us instead of the sun glaring in. But we're in Israel, and we're in an area that doesn't have any trees, and so it's very, very bright and sunny. So we decided we'd come inside, but we went ahead and closed things up a little bit so that we could run the air conditioner and just be a little bit more comfortable as we spoke to you. I guess I feel like I want to get started on the refrigerator just because it's a story.
Okay. It is a story.
So when we bought this caravan, it came with a fridge. I don't know, should we say the brand? Maybe not.
Let's not.
Okay. The caravan that we bought comes with a certain supplier of certain electronics and other things. There's just several brands that are, I guess, very well known and used in Europe. And so we had this refrigerator that comes with the caravan. It took about 3/4 of the height of the space, and then there was a little storage compartment underneath and a little storage compartment on top. And
And it was a very fancy fridge. It would run on 12 volt, run on whatever your shore power is, in this case 220. It would also run on natural gas. It was a very nice fridge,
yeah, very nice.
except for one problem.
Well, wait, you're getting ahead of us. I mean, it's small. It's, probably a quarter of the amount of space that we had in our house,
Yeah, something like that.
But it was a nice fridge. It was really nice, and you could choose the modes. And it didn't seem to work well on the 12 volt. It like kept it cool but not cold. But on gas, it worked great, which is what we were expecting to use
Right.
most of the time, unless we were here at home base where we'd be plugged into the electric, which is what it actually preferred. Also, it's easier for us to use the electric than to refill the gas. But the fact that it would run on gas was actually convenient for if we ever want to do boondocking or anything like that. So we brought the caravan home to our community, but we didn't actually move into it for a week, 2 weeks, something like that, until the space was prepared and ready for us to bring the caravan up. So we brought it up. We brought it up in the middle of the week. We were using it for 2.5 days, so I guess Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, we were getting ready for Shabbat, and all of a sudden, it stopped working. Just stopped. There was nothing we could do. We tried turning the unplugging the electricity. We tried resetting everything we could find. We even started asking in the community, and people said, try this, try that. And the consensus from most of the people that we spoke with was that this fancy schmancy refrigerator has a control card inside of it, most likely to help with, well, the temperature control, obviously, but also going between gas and electric and 12 volt. So they said, yeah, you're probably going to have to replace the card. So we had to scramble to find a place to stick our food so it wouldn't go bad, because it was only a couple of hours before Shabbat, and we did. We have a neighbor who had a little dorm fridge that they loaned us, so we were able to, or let us use, we were able to put our stuff in there. Yeah. And then at the beginning of the week, I called the company, and they sent out the technician, and he came with this replacement controller card. And
very expensive.
Very expensive. And one of the things that I found, I mean, it's probably universal, but it seems to me to be a lot more in Israel than it was in any other country we've lived, because we lived in England as well as in the United States. You know the old adage, is it Occam's razor, that says that the simplest explanation is most usually the correct one. So all technicians in Israel seem to assume that if they can find anything that the user may have done to cause the problem, that's automatically the reason it happened. They don't bother investigating more. They don't bother doing anything. They just say, you did this and that's the problem. And we have found, of course, that that's not always the case. So the technician came out and he said, well, you must have had, your electricity went out, and when it came back on, you had a surge and it blew the card, because these cards are very sensitive, and your surge protector must not have been adequate. And I'm like, but we didn't have the electricity go out. So then they said, well, it must have been a voltage cascade, whatever that is. I guess that's the same thing, but without the electricity going out. And so he had brought a replacement card. He took our card out. He put a new card in, and it didn't work. And he spent like almost 2 hours testing our 12 volt system, testing our electricity, unplugging, replugging, pulling things out, checking the fuses, checking the battery, checking everything. And he came up blank. All right. So the explanation that they gave us was that the second card that he brought, must have been defective. So he said, well, at this point, we're going to have to order a new one from Europe, because that's the only extra one we had. And it turned out that we were going away for a week the following week anyway. So we were like, okay, when we come back, we will take care of it. Please order the part and we'll deal with it when we get back. So we went on vacation. And when we came back, I called them and they gave me the runaround, and they were, hemming and hawing and whatever. And, they're still going on this assertion that the problem was the electricity that we have. Now, it turns out that the technician that installed our electric infrastructure said, well, actually, you have automatic surge protection at the box before anything else that you do, because we know that this area, it tends to have issues with, like, I don't know what they call it, dirty electricity or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, I don't think that that was the problem. But be that as it may, so now we're going on 2 weeks without any refrigerator. Yes, we were gone for 5 days, but still, that's a long time to be without a refrigerator. And I had to keep pushing. And finally, they said to us, well, we need to test. We need to replace it. We need to be able to test it. We need to check your electricity and all of this stuff. Please bring the caravan down to the service center. So my husband and my son-in-law took the caravan down to the service center.
Yeah.
I was not there. I probably would have put up a much bigger fit if I had been. So I guess next time I need to do it. But at the service center, you want to explain what they told you at the service center?
They said they were willing to swap out the card in the refrigerator, but that we would need to pay for it, and then they would try and get a reimbursement from the factory in Europe.
Because the card is not under warranty. Now, of course, they did say it when we were picking up the caravan and signing all the papers, but it was added into this whole explanation of stuff. And we're like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. The card's not under warranty. Like, what does that mean? What's that? We not even thinking about how is that something that's even going to be a problem. Well, we discovered it was.
The reason that card wasn't under warranty is because they have a long history of that card dying very frequently. Almost any reason. And so they said that, well, they would be willing to swap out the other refrigerator that's already paid for because it came with our caravan. They could give us 2 other refrigerators, small ones, but they run on the electricity. They have regular compressors. It's not a fancy, something else. And for a mere schmear 7,000 additional shekels that they would be willing to do this for us.
Which is like 7,000 shekels is
$2,000.
Yeah, like about $2,000, give or take. So $2,000, which is more than you would ever pay for not ever pay for a household fridge, but that's a nice.
They're little, they're.
So these are half-size refrigerators that sit one on top of the other. I mean, they got rid of our storage space, but we actually, that's the blessing, I suppose, the silver lining of the whole thing is that we actually ended up with more space, more refrigerator space.
And in addition, these work straight off the 12 volt.
All the time.
That's what they actually prefer. So we can go away or whatever, and the solar panels on the roof will keep everything cold. We went away for 2 weeks, and when we came back, everything was fine. It was cold, didn't need to do anything, didn't use any gas.
Yeah. So, when I talked to them after, so he called me up on the phone while he was there with the at the service center. And he said, this is the situation. They said that this is a known problem. The card goes all the time. It won't, even if they got us a reimbursement this time, in the future, it would not be reimbursed. It's 1,500 shekels a pop. And so their recommendation was that we go ahead and swap out this refrigerator for this more expensive pair of refrigerators, which will run better and, service us well and all of that. And so I was like, okay, it sounds like they're saying that, after a year or two, we might even make our money back because of how many times we're going to have to pay to have this thing fixed, plus the inconvenience of calling a tech and stuff like that.
Right.
So we went ahead and had them replace the refrigerators. And when I was talking to them on the phone, she's like, well, it was the card. And I said, because she said, we tested your electricity. There's nothing wrong with the electricity in the caravan. I said, well, did you test to make sure that the refrigerator itself wasn't defective?
No.
And she said, no. I mean, once you said you were interested in swapping the refrigerators, we just stopped working on it and we installed the new refrigerators. And so, so I was like pretty angry, but at this point I was also very exhausted. And we had just, pared our life down from a 3-bedroom apartment to what we could store in 1 bedroom, basically a small bedroom, storage space, and plus what we have in the caravan. And I had gotten sick at the end of our moving experience, probably from stress. And we had just moved in, and we had to stay in an Airbnb for 3 days while they were doing this with the refrigerator. And, I was just like, okay, whatever. I mean, it's possible that we could have pursued something legally. I don't know. But at this point, you know how sometimes you just don't have any fight left, right? You just like, fine, whatever. So there's things about the refrigerators that I don't like. They don't actually fit in the space properly, and they're not lodged into the space properly, which means they don't. The top one is kind of at an angle, although he's going to try to see if he can get inside in the back side and see if there's a way to make it kind of, because one of the things that drives me most insane about more than anything else, which sounds really stupid, but I like things straight, level, even, all of that. That's just a thing. I think it looks really bad the way it is. But like I said before, the silver lining is that we have more space and everything has been kept cold. Nothing has gone bad. And now it doesn't really have a proper freezer. It has like what I call an icebox freezer. And that's a little obnoxious because it means we have to pull it out and we have to defrost these fridges, which we haven't done yet.
Not since the 1970s, 80s.
We need to defrost the fridges in here. But I needed to wait till after I cooked for Shabbat because my freezers were full. So sometime this week we'll defrost at least one of them and work on that. I don't even know how to defrost a freezer because I'm young enough. I mean, I remember my mother doing it when I was little. But I've been, for my entire life, I've had frost-free, self-defrosting, whatever they call it, freezers, fridges. So that's the story of our fridge. And we'll show you, we're going to take you on a tour in a minute, and we'll show you the inside of the fridge. We'll show you the fridges, and we'll also show you where we're storing all of our food, which is another thing. I looked at all of the storage available and I thought, no problem. We've got a little pantry here.
Yeah.
We've got a shelf area up top.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I have news for you. In addition to everything that's in the refrigerator and everything that's in the pantry, which I'll show you, I think we can actually make better use of the space, but one thing at a time. And the top pantry. In addition to all of that, we also ended up having to take one section from the bench, from under the bench, and we have two IKEA buckets of overflow food that sit in our truck. And on top of that, I'll show you where my snacks live. Because I eat protein chips, like tortilla chips, and there's no room for them, because I have to order them from overseas. I order them through Amazon. No, not through Amazon, through iHerb. And so they come and, so they're in this big box, and it's not like I can just go out and buy some every week like I do with other stuff from the grocery store. So
Which is another discussion.
Yes, another discussion. We have a lot of discussions. But anyway, so come along with us and check out where we keep our food.
Yep.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to part of the tour of our caravan. I'm going to be talking now about cooking, and I'm going to show you how we store our food in the caravan. So first of all, this is what I call my pantry. And maybe we didn't do the best job we could. We still have some ideas about how we might improve it, but this is what we've got for now. So actually the top shelf, you see there is a lot of space available. We had thought about putting an actual pull-out drawer, but then we would lose some space because of the door here. So what I did instead was I purchased these freestanding pull-out drawers that are not at all organized. So here's the drawers. This is a little space here. I still have a lot of organizing to do. The problem is we wanted to put a second shelf here, but we decided not to, because then we couldn't open this. We couldn't pull this drawer out. You see, it's a problem. So it works. Actually, the truth is, it does pull out most of the way. We probably could put another one here. That may be in the works. We'll see. It's not at all organized. Now, the reason that the bottom looks like it does is if I pulled everything out, you would see that there's not actually a lot of space here because there's a lot of pipes and battery stuff and like gas and water pipes. I don't even know what they are here. And so this is just like barely any space for storing stuff. So we have to keep those, accessible and stuff like that. So I actually have too much stuff in here, truth be told. So you can see this is the only flat space that we have pretty much in the entire caravan. The table, like everybody's table, becomes a catch-all, except it's the only place for us to work. And during the week, we're working. So we're not going to tear down and put back up our work equipment. So instead, this is pretty much all the flat space we have. And then this cabinet here, this one is actually games. And then this cabinet was also going to be stuff like that. And it turned out that it didn't work out that way. So this is some more food stuff and other things I couldn't find space for. We actually have plans to put another shelf here that will get rid of these tea boxes. This is just because I brought too much coffee. But so we have our disposable plates here. Yes, unfortunately, we do use disposables because washing dishes in this place, as you'll see in a few minutes, is almost impossible. But we have some of our containers of food that don't really fit well in the underneath part. And then this is something that people don't really think about when they think about buying a caravan in the storage space. We saw this empty space and we said, this is a tremendous amount of space. It's great. But the problem is to maximize that space, you have to put stuff in such a way that you're going to have to move things out in order to get things. And it's really interesting because this is a concept that we were actually talking about the other night, is that in order to get as much stuff as we can into the space, it's going to be inconvenient to get to some things. And we've grown accustomed to convenience. In my coaching and speaking and stuff, I frequently talk about the motivational triad, the things that motivate human beings to do things, right? And one of them is called economy of effort, right? Or something along those lines. That we try to conserve energy wherever we can. And so we have created our homes and our lives in such a way that this is annoying. Pull something out in order to get to something else. Everything should be smooth, easy to get to in a split second. But what I realized was that when you do that, it's much easier to just live on autopilot. Whereas when you have to stop and you have to think, okay, I need, forget this cabinet, right? I need a cup. And the cup is actually behind the plates. So I have to stop. I have to take a moment. I have to pull the plates out, get the cup that I want, take that down, put the plates back. And it's kind of like by having to move something in order to get to something else, it slows me down. I have to actually stop and be intentional about what I'm doing. I have to think about where am I going? What am I getting? Where is it? How can I do this? I have to kind of play I don't know if it's Tetris, but I have to move one thing in order to, well, we just had a pause for a minute because we're still learning the process of recording videos on our phones. And so we had a chat issue and whatever, doesn't matter. But what I was trying to say was that when you have to stop and slow down and think about where things are and take them and make the space to put them in order to get to what you want, one of the lessons that I learned from that is the idea that we have to learn to live more presently in the moment. When I was in a big home and I had a place for everything and everything was easy and convenient, I lived a lot more on autopilot. And now I have to slow down. I have to stop. I have to think about what I'm doing. And it reminds me of something that I heard one of my favorite YouTubers say, that, tomorrow is not promised, right? We have to stop and actually take the time to be intentional and to appreciate the moment that we're in, the day that we have now, just to slow down. And that's part of why we chose this lifestyle, is to learn to live less on on autopilot and to be more intentional. And if that means that I have to move the bowls in order to get to the cups, so be it. I'm happy to learn that lesson. Okay, so now you've seen my pantry, but what I didn't show you is I also have stuff under the seat in the bench. And then also, let me show you where I keep my snacks. This may look like a closet door, but it's not. It is the bathroom. And in our bathroom, we have a shower. I'm very grateful that we have a separate shower. We have our laundry buckets down there. We have some cleaning supplies over here. And I have a bucket, which is starting to run low, but when it's full of my snacks because I have absolutely no place to keep them. Similarly, we have this lovely oven. I know not all caravans have ovens, and I'm really, really grateful for this oven. But the truth is, I have no place to store my baking pans. So they live in the oven except when the oven is on. Okay, come with me now to my beautiful refrigerators. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is too much sun. But okay, so we had a refrigerator. It was about this big. And so we had a storage on the bottom and we had a little bit of storage on the top. And that was replaced by these two refrigerators, which they told us were LG refrigerators. They are not LG refrigerators. They are Israeli-made refrigerators by a company called Colorado that has an LG compressor. So that's another example of the kinds of things that, I don't know if you would call that buyer beware or what. And we're going to give you 2 LG fridges for this price. Great! Thing comes home and it's like, you know what? That's not actually an LG fridge, but be that as it may. So we also have this problem. If you see that the bottom one's almost straight, although it sticks out a lot because it doesn't seem to fit all the way in, which doesn't make any sense to me because there is actually space on either side. But this one is tipping back. And my husband says that that's because there's actually no support on the back end of it. So frequently we give it a nudge so it'll be at least closer to straight. Now the cool thing about this fridge is that you can open it from here, or you can open it, sure I can, from here. So whichever is convenient for the way that your caravan is working, is arranged. So this is our fridge. This drawer, this shelf actually can't have anything higher than this because the freezer's right here. Do you want to come around a little bit more? We have 3 shelves. They actually pull out, interestingly. They do slide, which is kind of cool, except now I'm not sure. Oh, because something slid down behind. You're noticing that that seems to be a theme here today. And again, like there's no organization to this fridge except that here's all of my cheese and dairy stuff. So, and this is the freezer. And you can see it has a lot of ice in it right now, including the ice cube tray stuck to the top. Like I said, we need to defrost this. It's big enough for a package of chicken, a package of frozen hamburgers, and an ice cube tray, and that's about it. In the bottom one, we have our frozen vegetables and stuff. So, and then also in the bottom one is where we keep our vegetables. So another benefit of these fridges, I guess, of having 2 separate ones is that we can change the temperature settings. Now, as far as we can tell, those numbers mean absolutely nothing because no matter what we have them set on, they go all over the place anyway. No, we do not actually have this set to negative 19 degrees Celsius, but it wildly varies from, I don't know, 12 to 24. And the same thing for the fridge. I think we have it set at 3 or 4, and it's currently living at 5. This one is living at 4. The numbers don't seem to make any sense, but they are separate. So we did try to make the bottom one just a little bit higher and keep the vegetables in there so that they're less likely to freeze. So yeah, so that's the end of our culinary storage tour.